I will climb the highest peak, swim the deepest sea. I would cross the desert land. I would do anything for your love.
Unconditional love.
Welcome back again. I feel like I never left because I don't know. Anyway, this year is a Photokina year. Not sure what that means, but I'm guessing it means that Photokina doesn't happen every year. I think it's every 2 years. But anyway, apparently this Photokina is not going to be very exciting, but it is going to be happening. And from what I understand, Sony, for the first time in the history of being Sony, is not focusing on making new cameras. I know, right? They're actually going to put their major focus this year on lenses. Yeah, finally, right? So I'm excited. Are you excited? Yeah, okay. So what lenses are they going to debut that's new? Well, we already know about the 28 to 135 f4 bazooka, which is, oh man, I think it's insane. Probably great for filmmaking, but for, you know, guys who don't lift, probably not so much. They're having that 17 to 35. We know that's coming out, the f4, probably for $1,000, which is okay. I mean, wide angles are expensive. So what else are they going to make? What are their big lens announcements? That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing big lens announcements. Well, I have no idea. I'm not connected to anything. So I'm going to give you my top 5 list of lenses that I want to see. Now, the lens choices in here, we're not going to go anything too crazy. We're not going to like, all these lenses are very doable. They're very reasonable lenses. They're lenses that pretty much every other system has that Sony doesn't have, and I feel like that will really fill gaps in the Sony system. I'm not going to cover APS-C lenses because I think actually for the APS-C cameras, they have a pretty solid lens selection. The only thing they're missing is telephoto lenses, and I think at this point there's no sense in making telephoto lenses for the APS-C E-mount because yeah, you're not really going to gain any size advantage over, you know, a full frame. Like a full frame 85mm lens is not going to be, you know, dramatically bigger than 85mm lens specifically designed for an APS-C format. And, you know, and having it only work on APS-C cameras would be just really not as useful, especially considering Sony's really trying to push the FE mount. So I think if I was Sony, first I would focus all my attention on telephoto and probably have it all in the FE mount. So here are my top 5 E-mount lenses that I want to see Sony make. Number 5. Okay, I think this is a very important lens to have for the FE mount. Arguably, this is maybe the most important lens to have for the FE mount. But the reason why it's number 5 is because even though it is very important to have this lens, it's not a very exciting lens. It's not a very sexy lens. It's kind of like, you know, seeing your girlfriend in a bikini. It's nice, but it's not like, you know, it's not very exciting unless you have like a really hot girlfriend. In that case, kudos. But it's a really important lens to have because, I mean, you kind of have to have, there needs to be lenses for people that don't have like $1,000 or $1,500 to spend on a lens, and it's going to be really appealing to, like, you know, the casual shooter, the beginner, the people that are, you know, just getting into photography, that, you know, spending $2,000 on like a 70 to 210 2.8 is kind of like, but they still need telephoto. And considering that Sony, I think they're really aggressively trying to push the entry and mid-level market. They really need entry and mid-level lenses. I mean, what's the point of selling, you know, the A7 for $1,000 if all your lenses are over $1,000? You know what I mean? Do you think someone's going to want to buy a camera for $1,000 and then spend, you know, more than that on every lens? No. So you have to hit all the markets. It's not just about the high end. And also, I think this would be a great lens for all us A7S owners, because we bought this camera, spent $2,500 on it for what? Crazy low light performance, right? So what's the point of us buying, you know, spending all this money on fast lenses when we can when we don't really have to. I mean, I can get that lens and I'll be pretty set for telephoto. I mean, yeah. Also, they should be smaller than, you know, like the f4 or a 2.8, and that really comes in handy. Number 4. Okay, now this might sound a little bit weird. With all the holes in the FE lineup, why would I want another 50 1.8, which would make it the third 50 1.8 that Sony has made? Well, because one, the first 50 1.8 is an APS-C lens. Two, the second 50 1.8 is the 55 1.8 Zeiss, which is $1,000. And that's kind of crazy because the 50 1.8 is almost always in every system the cheapest lens in that system. Usually they don't really break the 150 mark, you know what I mean? So I think Sony should make a 50 1.8, you know, don't make it a Zeiss, give it stabilization, and charge around, I don't know, $300 or so for it. I'd buy it. Number 3. Obviously the biggest hole, or I would say most of the holes in the E-mount system are in the telephoto range. And a particularly big hole on both APS-C and FE is mid-telephotos. Lenses that are in that 85 to 135 range. So Sony really needs to make one. I'm hearing a lot of rumors that they're going to make one. I'm hearing a lot of rumors that it's going to be a Zeiss. Not thrilled about that. But I think they should make an 85 1.8 or a 100 2.8 macro. I'd probably make this over a 135 just because like an 85, when you put it on APS-C, it becomes like a 125, which is sort of like a 135. Also, I feel like a 135 is a very specialized lens. Like it's kind of just like a head shooter. Like when I use 135s, I'll pretty much use that for portraits. I think the 85 or 100s gives you more versatility. So that's kind of why I want that instead. Do I want an 85 or 100? It really doesn't matter. I think they're pretty interchangeable. But the FE does need a macro, so probably 100 2.8 macro would be maybe be a better choice. And yeah. Number 2, or number V. Yes, they are already making a 28 to 135, but have you seen that thing? It looks like a goddamn hand cannon. I want a 28 to 135 that's actually, you know, like portable. Not only portable, but just something I can carry around without, like, you know, having a Sherpa to hold it for me. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a good 28 to 135 classic walk around zoom. I think every system needs to have something like that, and this one doesn't, so it needs it. Although on the other hand, on a side note, even though I want another 28 135 that is not like, you know, the size of my forearm, I do like the fact that Sony is making that giant 28 to 135 because I don't know, I feel like you know, with the whole indie cinema market, you know, kind of like a booming industry, I'm surprised that more major lens companies don't make kind of, you know, like cinema-oriented lenses. Like I'm surprised Nikon hasn't tried to jump on that train. Canon is kind of, but they're kind of going over after like that Zeiss CP market. But I think if Sony makes their current 28 135 f4 and they make it reasonably priced, I think it could be a very, very interesting lens to, you know, to have or rent if you're a filmmaker. And now for the number 1 lens that I want to see Sony make. $70 to $210 2.8. This is probably the most important lens that you can have in your lineup, because this is basically the journalist lens. This is like if you talk to journalists, wedding photographers, event shooters, and you ask them, you can only have one lens. You can only carry one lens with you. What lens would they carry? I guarantee you, most of them would say 70 to 210 2.8. And I think the fact that Sony doesn't have one is really holding the E-mount back. Of all the five, I think of all the 5 lenses that I've mentioned, I think the bottom 4 actually have a really good shot of being made. I would be very surprised within the next 2 years if all 4 of them, don't hit the market. This lens, I think, is kind of a make or break lens. On the E-mount, Sony has been really hesitant to make anything 2.8. Like they've kind of just hit that f4 mark for their zooms and just stayed there. I think that's a major. Yeah, it's not a smart move. It's very short-sighted, and I really think that they need to make a 70 to 210. It would be a good statement lens to kind of say that this could be a pro system, and this could be I think it's just a real system seller, I think. And I think Sony needs, if they're not thinking about making this and they're not planning on making this, I really think they need to reevaluate their whole situation and make this lens. Because could be cool. I mean, fucking huge, but yeah, make it. All right. Thank you for watching. That was my top 5 list of lenses that I want to see Sony make. Did I leave out anything that you wanted to see? Maybe I should have had more wide-angle lenses. Maybe not. I don't know. Leave in the comments, and we'll discuss. Just don't be mean. I'm very sensitive. So I bought the A7S. I wanted to get a camera that was as sensitive as me. Yeah. So until next time. Bye.